Good afternoon. I'm Mark Herbst. I'm the co-chair of the Joint Railroad Committee, and taking the lead this month is the Long Island Railroad. And we will begin with the public comments. Do we have speakers for this afternoon?
Good afternoon. We have 8 members of the public registered to speak today. As a reminder, we ask that all public speakers adhere to the MTA's rules of decorum and conduct, including speaking on topic. I would also like to remind our public speakers that in the interest of time and fairness to all, we limit everyone to 2 minutes. Please be aware that there will be a warning beep to remind you that you have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks. The first speaker will be Iris Kelly, followed by David Kupferberg.
Kelly, I have regards to the busing when you had the construction going on in Long Island. Friday was great. You had one at 11:18. Had a chance to go to a concert and may finish up afterwards and speak with the people there and souvenirs. You get home, get the 12:10 in Hicksville, and then go home. But no, Saturday you not even had that. You had to leave at 10:45, in the middle of a concert. Couldn't enjoy myself there because you had the last bus would be 10:45 and shouldn't be. There should be 11:18 because that's when people get out of their places doing stuff, and even like doing places, doing things, and be able to get home by after take the last one 12:10. It was still running in Hicksville. The trains were still running. That's what it should be, not to try people from doing things. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be David Kupferberg, followed by Daniel Carpin.
Hi, David Kupferberg, member of Passengers United. The MTA is trying to pull a fast one with the renovations of the Long Island Railroad's Forest Hills and Hollis stations. The MTA is attempting to separate the platform lengthening and accessibility parts of the project for each station. According to Forte Construction Corporation, the contractor hired to do the renovations, the MTA issued a general stop work order. MTA, it is a fait accompli. Either the entire renovations are done or none of it. Because if the platform lengthening part of the project would continue, but not the accessibility part of the project, it could be a violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act and Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. We will not be intimidated. Thank you. Power to the people.
Our next speaker will be Daniel Carpin, followed by Christopher Greif.
My name is Daniel Carpin. I reside at 3 Harbor Hill Drive, Huntington, New York, and I've been riding the Long Island Railroad for 50 years. I am submitting into the record a letter I sent to the Commissioner of the New York State Department of Transportation regarding a land transfer, possible land transfer at the Long Island Railroad Station at Huntington. This letter is to be read and seen by the Commissioner. The town of Huntington wants to have some parcels of land near the Huntington train station transferred to the town of Huntington. See the enclosed news article. Do not do anything until there is total compliance with the State Environmental Quality Review Act. Do not allow a segmented plan review, i.e. the transfer and what they're going to do with the land. It has to be done together. There must be a long-range plan. See the enclosed Onondaga landfills case, which is one of the key environmental decisions in New York State regarding illegal segmented review. There needs to be a total long-range plan. The town of Huntington does not know how to comply with SECRA. There have been 4 major SECRA lawsuits against the town of Huntington in the last 18 months. Please call me at the above number if you have any questions. If anyone, any comments from the board, I would certainly like to hear something. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Christopher Greif, followed by Jason Anthony.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy ADA 34 Disability Pride Month. First, I wanted to thank everyone as we do celebrate the Disability Pride Month. It's a great day to celebrate either way from now to the end, which is this Wednesday. But I'm here to talk about Long Island Cares and Metro North Cares. Glad to see that Long Island Railroad does have signs that tell us to contact. But we do need to continue on the future of accessibility to mentioning our cares very much. We're glad to see their signs, but we need to do more advertising, announcements, and how can we work together with the community. Especially, it will help the MTA police to work together, because if a person's waiting on the platform, and thanks to you, MTA police do assist very much, for the record, on both railroads, we do need to make sure that both cares are very much, yes, and I do keep it seriously because MTA Police does work with our population very much in all areas. But we need to remind that we need to advertise more about the cares in both, because signs might help, digital signs might help, but advertising, announcing it needs to be more. We as advocates will help working together to remind people, and that's including our officials, to know they are cares. And as I said this at Capitol, I'll say this now. We need to make sure that those alert buttons are available at all stations. Thank God they're on the railroad, Long Island Railroad, but Metro North needs them as well. So lets the crew know to get on the train, so they know there's an accessible customer. Could be a senior, a disabled person, or a baby stroller. We need to work together and keep everyone safe. Especially Disability Pride Month is a nice way to celebrate to keep the safe of everyone. Everyone, happy Disability Pride Month, 8834. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Jason Anthony, followed by Kara Girl.
Good afternoon, Rob, Kathy, and the rest of the Joint Committee of Rails. Let's start off. Yesterday, luckily, yours truly was at both Penn Station and Grand Central. It is glad to see that Long Island Railroad Cares is being visible, having staff with their red vests, and it's good that Rob Free is doing a awesome job like always. But Cassie, not so much. We need is not a criticism, but we need to improve. When I was at Grand Central, no Metro North Cares personnel present. But yes, the signage is there. But when I was down in Grand Central Madison, staff was present, probably wearing the red vest. So what does that mean? Long Island Railroad is always ahead of the game. Metro North needs to catch up. So there's a lot of work to do on the Metro North side. But who is behind the game? New Jersey Transit Corporation and the Port Authority. So the message is clear. The MTA is the leader when it comes to accessibility. So both railroads are the pioneer when it comes to accessibility, and this is why the Train Time app is the best app that we could use. So let's keep it up, guys. I'll see you guys later.
Our next speaker will be Kara Girl, followed by Elizabeth Velez.
Good afternoon. I'm Kara Girl, Planning and Advocacy Manager at the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA, PCAC. We heard earlier today about the next capital plan. State of good repair for the railroads is a major priority for riders, particularly when it comes to rolling stock. We were glad to see that rolling stock upgrades and state of good repair are a similarly high priority for the MTA in the 2025 to 2029 capital plan. Long Island Railroad commuters are fed up with the M3s. They're sometimes quite literally held together by duct tape and Sharpies. It's no secret that the mean distance between failure of these ancient rail cars trails the newer fleet, with the exception of diesel trains that also need upgrades. Riders desperately need new and more train cars. This will help improve service, reduce delays, and create an all-around better transit experience on the railroads. And while we're eager to see M9s in the next capital plan, we need them sooner rather than later. Funding delays caused by Governor Hochul's pause on congestion pricing hurts the hundreds of thousands of riders depending on these upgrades. Ridership is coming back, and we need investment that keeps up so overcrowding and delays don't increase as well. We also hope to learn more soon about the service plan to keep riders moving when East River Tunnel work begins. This work is important, but it's also important to get ahead of service outages and be overly communicative with riders about alternate ways to get around. We're glad to see ongoing schedule tweaks on the Long Island Railroad, this time for Oyster Bay commuters. Continuing to listen to riders and making adjustments to schedules is the key to improving satisfaction. The next capital plan will likely include some exciting and crucial projects that will improve transit for railroad riders. Now, we need dedicated, recurring revenue for the next plan, in addition to congestion pricing for the current plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Maddie Buchas Highland, followed by Charlton D'Souza.
Can you hear me, Mr. Pisano?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Matty W. Bucky's Highland. First of all, happy ADA 34 and Disability Pride Month. As a result of our advocacy, I'm pleased to see that that my home station of Babylon on the Long Island Railroad is starting to be more and more ADA accessible with the opening of Adamsville and Lindenhurst train stations. A lot of part is thanks to Chairman Jan Oliver, President Horace Springer, President Rob Freed, Camelo Royal, and 3 advocates I should mention: Jesse Figueroa, Jason Anthony, and Mr. Accessibility, Christopher D. Grive. With that said, I can take the Annandale if I'm on a wheelchair. I work at the Winter Center for Autism out of West Babylon, which is great because who has a wheel take the SCAT bus to Man Street if they're in a wheelchair on SCAT Transit. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope everybody has a great summer, and we'll see you all in September. Thank you, Mr. Pisano. God bless you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Charlton D'Souza, followed by Elizabeth Velez.
Hello, guys. Our committee meeting. So basically, I'm so happy that you guys are still having the Summer Saturdays program. What I want to know with the Long Island Railroad is, how does the Summer Saturdays program work? Because are you guys still taking the monthly passes? And I understand that if 4 people ride on the railroad, they have to have a $1 ticket each. How does that work? Many people who have monthly ticket holders don't know how this program works, and that needs to be clarified. Another thing that I want to say is that the Hollis station, the way that it was left a mess after the contractors were basically suspended, that's not fair. So you guys really need to fix that station and clean it up until, the contract is brought back into fruition. It's very important. And again, guys, the Long Island Railroad, they're having a lot of breakdowns, a lot of delays. That's unacceptable. People deserve better. So the MTA has got to get its game on and improve. The M3 cars are breaking down, and that's causing delays on the Atlantic Terminal branch. So you guys have to fix that and get that going. It's unacceptable for people going to Brooklyn and they have to wait 40 minutes or 30 minutes. That's discrimination. Not fair, guys. Absolute discrimination. So again, on behalf of Passengers United, we're speaking up for LIRR riders, but we deserve better. There's a lot of things that have to be improved on, and we're not happy with the way the LIR service trains have been late. There's no communication at times, overcrowding after games and events. That has to improve. So again, this is Passengers United. And hopefully you guys will consider the city ticket weekly and also uni ticket. You guys need to work on that. There's some issues with that. All right, guys, thank you so much. This is Passengers United. Have a good afternoon. All right, bye.
Thank you. Our final speaker will be Elizabeth Velez.
Good afternoon. I'm Elizabeth Valdez of the Brooklyn Center for Independence of the Disabled, BCID. I'm just testifying at this meeting because of the late change in the timing of today's Transit Committee meeting. However, but my comments are still relevant to all transit riders in the region. Last month, 17 disability groups and allies sent letters to Governor Hochul and legislative leaders. New groups included independent living centers from Long Island and Westchester County. We urged them to immediately find other funding sources for the MTA in the absence of congestion pricing so that accessibility projects and other essential work could move forward. BCID also testified at last month's board meeting. We said, along with Albany and the mayor, you here at the MTA have a job too. Your job at the MTA isn't only to tell us what won't happen with the loss of this particular source of funding. It is your job to put together the other non-regressive options for funding and to get the governor and the legislature to adopt them now. Don't wait for governor to come up with ideas. Your job is to convince the governor to get her act together, to convince the legislature that blaming the governor doesn't get them elevators or cleaner buses or new signals. A month later, we're still waiting for you to do your job here at the MTA. Let's get moving. Hopes this works.
I think we have one more speaker left for today.
Hi, sorry to keep you waiting. My name is Kathy Collins. I know I testified earlier today, but I needed to testify again today because I was on the Long Island Railroad over the 4th of July weekend. I want to thank Dennis Schindler, a Long Island Railroad employee, and his team at the Hampton Bays and the Spivak station out in Long Island because they saved my day that day. First, we went to Hampton Bays to get on a train, and they were announcing that the trains would be really, really crowded, and that they were trying to get people to take a bus, but apparently the buses were school buses, which were not ADA compliant. And so Mr. Schindler said to me, let me see what we can do. We're going to try to get you on this train. So him and his team, the platform was truly packed. We went down the platform with them, and they asked people to move to the side. And as we went down, the doors opened, and seriously, you could not get a baby on any of those train cars. They were packed to the hilt. So we were like, now what do we do? So then we went back, and we're sitting there, and they were suggesting to go to the Babylon station, and they were asking me, maybe you could take an Uber. So we went to look up Ubers, and they were like $150 to $175. It was really hot out, no air conditioning anywhere to be found. And so we're thinking, well, should we do that? Should we maybe take an Uber to Manhattan? That's where we live, my boyfriend and I. So then we looked at that. It was $300. Well, what happened in the end, he took the right idea. He called up his superiors. He got okay to get us in an MTA vehicle. He took us to the Spivak station where it was the first part, and he got us on the train, him and his team. And even that train station was filled, the platform, and they got us through and got us on. And I wanted to thank him greatly, and I'd like you to look into the fact that there were no accessible buses to get us to another train station. I can transfer, but some people can't. So please look into that. Thank you. It's the ADA.
Thank you. That concludes our public comment session for today's meeting.
Thank you, Nick. At this time, we'd like to move on to the key performance metrics report, and I believe they're in the book for all of the members. And now for the joint railroad administrative items, we will begin with the minutes from the meeting of June 24th, 2024. The minutes of the June joint committee meeting have been distributed to all the members. Are there any corrections or admissions? If not, I move to approve the minutes. They told me we have one. Moved by Blanca. Do I have second? Second by Lisa. All in favor? Minutes are approved. Thanks. For the 2024 work plans, we'll begin with Rob. Are there any changes to the Long Island Railroad work plan?
No changes to the work plan.
Kathy, are there any changes to the Metro North work plan?
No, there are no changes to the work plan.
Thank you. Okay, now We'd like to hear the president's reports. We'll begin with Rob, since Long Island Railroad is the lead this meeting.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon this month. June was another busy month for the Long Island Railroad in terms of ridership, particularly non-commutation off-peak ridership, driven by our summer service, sporting events, concerts, and the cricket tournament out in Nassau County this past month. June 2024 ridership increased by 14.6% compared to June of last year, and we actually surpassed 83% for the month of June in terms of ridership. So that's great news that we hit that mark over 83%. Year-to-date total ridership is 17.3% over 2023, Non-commutation ridership increased over 24% versus last year and was the 10th month in a row that we surpassed 2019, this time by 15.8%. We had another record in terms of post-COVID daily ridership. We achieved 271,784 riders on June 25th, and on June 8th and 9th, we had our highest Saturday and Sunday driven by the Cricket Championship out east. And for on-time performance, we achieved a mark of 94.3%. All right, I'm going to test the skills of my abilities and control the slides this time, so bear with me. I already slipped. I didn't show them the first slide. For this month, we're presenting on an important initiative at the Long Island Railroad. You may recall back in February, both railroads presented their strategic priorities for 2024. We had 5 of them, and one of those strategic priorities was improving the customer experience. And an initiative we identified within to improve the customer experience was to improve the on-time performance of trains arriving in Jamaica Station. We recognized this earlier on with the introduction of Grand Central Madison as a need to get trains in and out of Jamaica closer to schedule because of the fact that more customers are transferring due to an additional terminal. So we looked at a ton of data. I really can't tell you how much data was looked at. It was really a painstaking event, organizing this data and putting it in terms of being able to analyze it and be able to identify our goals. So why Jamaica and why now? As you all know, Jamaica is absolutely critical to our operation. But over the course of time since the introduction of Grand Central Madison, we have stabilized our service and improved the reliability through strategic and methodical adjustments. And we're now operating at almost 95.7% on-time performance. Truly historic numbers. But when you're operating at these levels of service, when you have an issue at a particular location or a particular train, it's easier to identify. And if it's a problem when you're operating at these high levels of service, it's truly a problem that we need to adjust. Jamaica's operation is highly dependent on customers transferring trains due to serving 5 western terminals and 10 eastern branches. So improving Jamaica on-time performance will make transferring easier for our customers and less stressful. It will improve overall on-time performance, and making suggested transfers will create a better traveling experience for our customers. So what are the challenges? Our operation is extremely complicated. I literally could sit here all day, but you've been here all day already, so I won't put you through that. I'll just touch on some of the higher impact issues for our system. First of all, we run a branch system. It's not a line operation where you get on at a particular station and travel directly into your main terminal. There's no intersecting or limited intersections with a line operation. With that, we have 6 major junction points within our system, meaning we have branches that intersect with our mainline operation. So that means a train has to operate as close to schedule as possible to maintain the overall service of both the mainline and the branch system. As I mentioned, we serve 5 western terminals, and as Charlie knows, this creates a scheduling and operating nightmare. And our system is highly connected, right? We have a lot of connectivity in our system. And what I mean by that, an issue on one branch, let's say the Long Beach branch, for example, a crossing out of order will have impacts on the whole system if it's, a significant delay or at the wrong moment. So it really has ramifications throughout our system. And of course, there's Jamaica. The transfers, the speed, the convergence of 10 branches, and the infrastructure. A system designed from the turn of the 20th century is what we're still operating with. I just wanted to briefly go over some of the things our planning and operations groups go through when we look to make adjustments to our schedule. When someone asks, can we change a schedule, can we do something? It's really unbelievable what has to be looked at. We have to look at other trains on the branch, both following trains and opposing trains. Single track, we have over 150 miles of single track on our plant. Junction points, I mentioned them before, 6 junction points. The Jamaica infrastructure, again, the slow speed, the switches, the station platforms, and Jamaica transfers. So adjusting a train by just a minute or two could impact the suggested transfer. So we have to look at that to make sure customers could still make their suggested transfer. Tunnel slots. We share the tunnels with Amtrak and New Jersey Transit. So again, changing the time of a train could impact other carriers' schedules, so they have to hit their mark precisely. Station tracks in both Grand Central and Penn Station, but particularly in Penn Station. We have just 9 tracks during the rush hour in Penn Station, where we have about over 60 trains, rush hour trains, that operate daily, never mind your reverse peak trains and your equipment moves. And equipment turns. We rely heavily on our rush hour trains. Many of our trains make 2 rush hour trains during the course of the rush hour. So they have to get into their terminal, turn, and get back out east, like in the morning, to make another rush hour train. So if the train isn't on time, the train won't be there for its turn and thus delay a westbound train out of its eastern terminal. And of course, track work. We always have to consider track work. And to illustrate what I just described, here's a high-level view of Jamaica Station. So looking at this, you have your 10 eastern branches converging on Jamaica, which just has 8 station tracks. And it's important to understand just 8 station tracks because all of our trains stop in Jamaica, so customers can transfer to these 5 western terminals that we serve. And in the middle, it shows the amount of trains that operate through Jamaica during the AM peak and the PM peak. So during the AM peak, it's 187 trains through this facility, and during the PM peak, 179. Again, we're operating both east and westbound trains. And we need to serve reverse peak service as well. During the AM peak, as we communicated with Third Track, a highly successful project, that people are reliant on our reverse peak service to get to jobs, which helps Long Island. So we've seen an increase in reverse peak service in the AM. I think it's been about 10% month over month. So it's very important to get these reverse peak trains out east as well. On the PM peak, we see a high number of reverse peak travelers going to the sporting events, the concerts, and the like. So there's a high number of non-traditional reverse peak customers operating on our system that really is helping our ridership gain. So this is truly remarkable, and while this is a good illustration of it, it really doesn't do it justice. You have to stand there and watch this operation. So how are we currently operating in Jamaica in terms of on-time performance? So using a benchmark of trains operating or arriving Jamaica less than 3 minutes late, during the AM peak, we're at 55.9%, and during the PM peak, 59.9% or 60%. Not where we want to be. But the numbers kind of make sense if you think about it. During the AM peak, trains have a longer distance to travel to arrive Jamaica on time, and during the PM peak, it's less of a travel between the western terminals in Jamaica. But both cases we can and we will do better. Which brings us to our goal. Our goal is to have 70% of our AM and PM peak trains arrive Jamaica under 3 minutes. So you can see our current status and what we want to achieve. Pretty significant, but our team is up to the task, and we're confident we can achieve it. This is truly unprecedented. I cannot stress this enough. On-time performance is normally calculated at the end of the run from the total trip time. We are now going to measure ourselves on an intermediary point to improve customer satisfaction. And by measuring Jamaica on-time performance, it's really showing the uniqueness, complexity, and the importance of Jamaica to our operation and to our customers. And why under 3 minutes? This will enable customers to more easily make their suggested transfers and actually improve throughput through the Jamaica station. And I'll go backwards. Here we go. All right. Why 70% of the trains? Well, as we've done with the overall on-time performance, improving the reliability of our service through strategic and methodical adjustments, and I say that a lot because it truly was. We looked at it, we didn't make wholesale changes, we were surgical in how we went about making these changes to achieve the high levels of on-time performance that we are currently seeing. And this is just the beginning. As we continue to improve our operation, we'll adjust our goals accordingly. And again, our system is highly complicated. We need to be surgical, with our efforts and not make wholesale changes to negatively impact overall service. We have to be very careful of that. I always equate our service to like a sweater. You pull the thread and it all comes undone because of the connectivity of our service. So we have to be very surgical again. All right, now the really hard part. How do we do it? How do we improve the on-time performance in Jamaica? Well, we're taking a multifaceted approach to do so, both short-term and long-term. Routing. We want as many trains to move at once through the Jamaica plant. And a lot of this is achieved by doing what's called parallel routing, being able to move trains simultaneously. Personnel on the station platforms. Our personnel on the platforms are going to help assist get the trains out closer to schedule. So we're going to be a little more pushy in getting our trains out, but hopefully it'll be easier because the trains will arrive on time. MTA PD on the platforms. Chief has done an incredible job responding to the increase in requests for police assistance. Having the police on the platform is not only a safety and security measure, it also helps on-time performance as it helps resolve issues and gets the trains through Jamaica Station. And looking at our schedules, fine-tuning our schedules, there's several avenues that we're looking at. We're beginning by looking at the worst trains during the worst periods of time to address the higher instances of delays. So we're looking at things such as dwell times. Is it too much? Is it enough? Is it too long? We need to look at those things at our schedule. Accommodating track work. This is very important. We still have a significant amount of track work taking place in Harold Interlocking, the busiest interlocking in North America. We need to ensure that our schedules properly reflect that track work because it necessitates diverging routes. So what we try to do is set up train movements at Penn Station for eastbound trains and Jamaica even Queens Interlocking, which is further east. We try to set up the trains so they have a straighter route as they operate through Harold Interlocking. Reallocating run times. What I mean by this is that looking at some trains arriving Jamaica late, when you look further down the line, their schedule, they're making up time. So we're looking to see if we can take some of that time at the end of their schedule and move it towards prior to Jamaica, so trains will arrive Jamaica earlier. So we're reallocating the time, not just adding time to a schedule. We're also adjusting stopping patterns. Are we making too many station stops? We're trying to match ridership trends to stopping patterns. And maybe in some cases we're not making enough station stops and it's creating a loading condition on a train. So those things we're looking at. State of good repair, both in the Jamaica plant and throughout our system. Again, I mentioned the connectivity in our system, so we're looking to reduce the times that we occur an infrastructure failure. And our engineering group has done an incredible job maintaining our system to reduce those instances of switch failures or other types of failures. And capital investments, right? Jamie earlier talked about Jamaica capacity improvements. That is a really important project to our operation, and we completed phase 1, we're on to phase 2, and this will help modernize our switches, increase speeds through Jamaica, get us a new signal system, which is very important, and actually also do work in the station itself. So it's just yet another reason why it's critical to invest and properly fund our capital program. So a lot of those things that I just discussed will be incorporated into the September timetable. So the September timetable will be looking to improve Jamaica on-time performance, but there's also elements within the September timetable that will improve the customer experience as well. So we're going to take a current train that operates from Oyster Bay to Hunters Point Avenue, and this train will now operate directly from Oyster Bay to Penn Station for the first time. So that will reduce travel times and greatly improve the customer experience as well. Off-peak, midday off-peak service to Atlantic Terminal. We're adding another train, so there'll be 3 trains now operating between Jamaica and Atlantic Terminal, except that one period when we're required to do federally mandated inspections. But it'll equate to about a 20-minute service pattern between Jamaica and Atlantic Terminal. We're also adding an additional AM through train to Atlantic Terminal. Now, this train will operate from stations that have the highest demand to Atlantic Terminal, and it will operate during the busiest hour, the busiest time frame in Jamaica going to Atlantic Terminal. And probably the most significant changes that we're making are to off-peak service to Penn Station and Grand Central Madison. We're matching service to ridership demand. We looked and really scoured data, and over the course of the time since Grand Central Madison, we now have a good picture of ridership trends. And what we've seen is the overwhelming majority of people during the off-peak period are utilizing Penn Station, right? During the peak period, we're seeing increased service to Grand Central Madison. If you look since the opening, ridership has increased to Grand Central Madison. Penn Station is actually levelized, and so is Atlantic Terminal. So the increases we're seeing to peak service is going to Grand Central Madison. We've seen 60-40 splits as we originally projected. In fact, just last week, we saw a 59-41 split, and we've seen that a couple times. So we talked about ridership records, daily AM peak ridership records to Grand Central Madison, and also monthly ridership records to Grand Central Madison. So it's really been a remarkable addition to our service. But looking at the off-peak, the bulk of the people are going to Penn Station. And to try and illustrate that, during the off-peak period, 72% of our customers utilize Penn Station. Of that 72%, 73% from the 5 branches that will now serve Penn Station. So from these 5, what we call big branches, 73% of the total off-peak ridership are going to Penn Station. So we're matching ridership to where the customers want to go, the bulk of the customers. And there'll still be robust service to Grand Central Madison. I believe it'll be an hourly 8 trains to Penn Station, 5 to Grand Central Madison. So really robust service still. So real benefits to our customers. And in doing this, it will actually create overall less transfers during the off-peak period. There will be less people transferring because the bulk of the people will be going to the terminal that they want to go to. And when customers do have to transfer, what we've done to the schedule is we shorten the time between trains that operate to Penn Station and Grand Central Madison. So if you have to transfer, the wait time will be significantly less than it currently is. So these are all positive impacts that we're making to our operation to improve reliability and improve the customer experience. And that concludes my report, and I'll answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob. That was very informative. Can I just start with one question? You're trying to change the goals in Jamaica. Is there a time frame that you have to reach that 70%?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Very good.
Well, the September 3rd timetable will incorporate those, so we'll start measuring it beginning next month. Excuse me, September, and then throughout there. So right now we got to wait until the new schedule changes take
I
effect.
love your ambition. Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Rob, for your report. Now we move on to Kathy with the Metro North Railroad report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm now going to give the Metro North President's report. Like on Long Island, June 2024 was a very strong month for ridership, and the summer is also off to a good start in July, largely driven by robust discretionary ridership. We've really benefited from strong ridership to and from Yankee Stadium, despite how they're playing, with numerous days of nearly 10,000 rides. Go Mets, yeah, right? In June of 2024, Metro North served 5.76 million customers, which is an increase of 9.1% from June of last year, representing 78.1% of June 2019 pre-COVID ridership. Our average weekday ridership rose 1.7% from the month of May and represented 72.2% of June 2019 levels. Weekend ridership grew too, with an 8% increase from June of 2023, standing at 87.7% of our June 2019 levels. Our average weekday and average weekend ridership levels were set post-pandemic records in June. So here's just some particular days. Tuesday, June 18th, was a new high at 242,116 trips, which represents 82% of our average June ridership in 2019. We set a record on June 20th and for the highest Thursday, and then bested it the following Thursday, June 27th, our best Thursday ever at 227,648 rides, which is great. One service note, the Wassaic branch has been taken out of service for a long-term continuous outage to accommodate track work for 6 weeks. The outage began this past Saturday. The 27th of July will continue through Sunday, September 8th, with service resuming on Monday, September 9th. Our engineering team will be installing new cross ties and rail, replacing track switches, elevating a portion of track, and remediating mud spots through this boggy area. We're providing substitute bus service during this time for all scheduled trains. Southbound buses between Wassaic and Patterson are departing stations earlier than normal to allow for the longer driving time, and northbound buses will arrive slightly later than normal train times. And those schedules are on our app and on our website. I want to briefly mention, as Jano did this morning during the Safety Committee, the protests that had been planned for Grand Central Terminal on Thursday, July 18th. To mitigate potential risks to our customers, employees, and property, we proactively restricted access to the main concourse beginning at 1:30 that afternoon. But it's important to note that all terminal functions remained operational throughout the afternoon. We communicated well with our passengers about detours in advance, encouraging our customers to use the Train Time app for track assignments. We had robust support from our station and transportation personnel throughout the terminal to assist customers and visitors. And thanks to the thorough planning and great execution by the team, the protest groups moved on to other locations. There was no disruption to terminal operations or transportation, and we were able to remove those restrictions later on that evening. I want to extend my gratitude to the Metro North workforce for their planning during this event, and I also want to extend my thanks to the MTA PD for their fantastic partnership throughout this incident. Just a brief mention, now that we're talking about our great service over the summer, our weekend ferry pilot service between Haverstraw and Ossining has been fantastic. It really has exceeded expectations. On Sunday, July 21st, we had a record day of 822 trips, and this past Saturday, we broke a Saturday record with 481 trips. So it's been very healthy discretionary ridership over the weekend. Very happy to see that. 2 weeks ago, Assemblymember Mary Jane Shimsky, the District Director for Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousin, joined members of our MTA board, including our co-chairs Blanca Lopez and Mark Herbst, who came all the way up from Suffolk County to visit Greystone Station. This was a tour of the Hudson Line. This was intended to reinforce the importance of investments in resiliency along the Hudson Line, among other investments necessary to restore the Metro North infrastructure to a state of good repair. That was discussed this morning at CPC, and we're always happy for opportunities to be able to reinforce the importance of these investments in the Metro North infrastructure. So again, thanks to Mark and to Blanca for making the trip up there. We have been, it seems like for over a year now, celebrating our 40th year as a regional transportation provider, and part of that effort has been wrapping of our locomotives. The most recent effort, which launched 2 weeks ago now, was our fifth and last effort, which is a locomotive that's wrapped as a tribute to Metro North employees. This is the event where we launched this locomotive at our right outside our North White Plains paint shop. We reached out to employees and retirees to submit photos of themselves, and we canvassed the system, taking photos of team members on the job, collecting about 2,000 photos, which were arranged graphically to display scenes from the lines on each side of the locomotive. Our skilled TWU craftspeople, in the North White Plains paint shop, applied the wraps to each side of the locomotive. One side of the locomotive has employee photos arranged to show the original MTA logo, along with depictions of the clock tower and White Plains stations, Blanca, representing the Harlem Line and Grand Central. The other line of the locomotive has the current MTA logo with the vista of the Hudson River Valley, as seen from Bear Mountain, symbolizing the Hudson Line, and the Black Rock Lighthouse near Bridgeport, which symbolizes our New Haven line. I'm so proud that this was a project that was conceived, executed, it's been months and months of work, but it's by our employees, for our employees, and it's just been a tremendous effort and represents a tremendous tribute to the contributions of all of our employees over the past 41 years. It's been an amazing team effort. As I said, I want to specifically recognize the efforts of Emily Moser. She is the brainchild behind this idea, and she worked tirelessly to bring it to full fruition. So I want to thank Emily and the entire team for a job well done on the locomotive. While we're on the topic of employee recognition, I had the privilege last week of being part of our Safety Excellence Awards. You'll hear a little bit more of that from Shelley. Individuals and teams were recognized for their efforts to promote safe practices for our peers and our customers. These awards are a powerful reminder that safety excellence truly is a corporate commitment and a team effort. We recognized 4 individuals and 6 teams for their achievements in enhancing safety. Our individual winners were Varhendra Bunsi, an electrician in our MV department, Patrick Harbalik, the district manager of station operations, Johnny Klazowski, assistant deputy director compliance maintenance of way, and also a Progressive Railroading rising star, and Neil Sweeting, system-wide fire chief in the Office of System Safety. Our team and group honorees were the Grand Central Terminal Station Master's Office, the Metro North Security Department Video Operations Team, the Grand Central Terminal Bumping Block Team, the PTC New Canaan Bumping Block Enforcement Team, the Grand Central Terminal Train Shed Appearance Team, and the Roadway Worker Protection Audit Group. So congratulations and thanks to these wonderful employees for all the jobs that they do every single day to keep our employees and our customers safe. While we're on the topic of awards, we had 2 employees who were recognized at the Accessibility Awards ceremony last week that MTA held in honor of Disability Pride Month. These 2 Metro North employees represent the MTA's mission to create an inclusive environment for all of our customers. Jennifer Berry, who's our Director of Accessibility and Historic Preservation, received the Leaders Award. This honor acknowledges individuals who have pioneered innovative projects and initiatives that have significantly enhanced how we serve our customers and have redefined accessibility across operations. Jennifer has 27 years of experience in Metro North, where she collaborates with various agencies and departments to ensure regulatory compliance with federal and state accessibility and historic preservation laws. She leads our accessibility task force that involves Metro North stakeholders in accessibility outreach. Caroline Kim has been with Metro North since December of 2021, and she was awarded the Hero Accessibility Award. This award celebrated everyday champions who ensure every customer has a safe and accommodating journey regardless of their needs. Caroline is the Safety Education Program Manager for our Office of System Safety, leading our TRACS program. Through tailored outreach events, she educates communities about railroad safety, promoting safe behaviors around tracks and grade crossings. Finally, I want to acknowledge the passing of George Godfrey, officially known as the unofficial mayor of Brewster Station. He died on May 13th. George was a figure who embodied the heart and soul of the Brewster community. He was an 84-year-old Korean War veteran. He began greeting commuters at our Brewster train station in 2004 after the passing of his wife. Every single morning at 4:15 a.m., he would arrive at the station not to board a train, but to greet our customers, transforming their commute every day into a warm and friendly daily ritual. His presence as the unofficial mayor offered a sense of community to our Harlem Line customers. His respect and devotion for the American flag was evident as he often placed American flags around our station, and George was instrumental in having a flagpole erected at our station in 2021. In early 2017, in recognition of his unwavering commitment to the community and our riders, the railroad presented George with a Metro North Hall of Fame certificate, which still hangs in the station as a commitment to his legacy there. Finally, since there's no committee meeting next month, I wanted to look ahead to the end of August, and I'm thrilled to share some magical news. For the first time ever, U.S. fans will be invited to a special Back to Hogwarts pop-up event at Grand Central Terminal. On the weekend of August 30th through September 1st, Vanderbilt Hall will be transformed into a hub of enchantment and wonder. Maybe you can find out what your Patronus is. Look for more details on this magical event coming soon. And with that, I'll take any questions.
What track will that be on? Which track will that be on?
What is it? 9 3/4, right? There you go. Track 9 3/4. We're rehabilitating it just for the occasion.
Thank you. Wonderful report. Any questions for Kathy? Great, thanks. Okay. Okay, now we'll move on to the operations report. We will hear from Tom Koss for a report from the Long Island Railroad operations. Tom?
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Total on-time performance for the month of June was 94.3%, above goal of 94%, and year-to-date as of June is 95.7%, above goal of 94%. For the month of June, 6 branches operated at or above goal, and year-to-date as of June, 10 branches operated at or above goal. For major events which result in 10 or more late trains, there were 17 incidents for the month of June. The most significant event occurred on June 5th when there was a trespasser strike east of Mineola. This event resulted in 49 delays, negatively impacting on-time performance by 0.2%. For our fleet performance, the MDBF for the month of May was 152,588 miles, above goal of 150,000 miles, and MDBF year-to-date as of May is 159,367 miles, above goal of 150,000 miles. For service delivery, we completed 99.6% of our trips for the month of June, and we completed 99.6% of our trips year-to-date. For upcoming work that will impact service, on the weekend of August 10th and 11th, switch installation will take place between Queens Village and Maryland Avenue, resulting in service adjustments on the Ronkonkoma, Huntington, Port Jeff, Oyster Bay, Hempstead, Babylon, and Montauk branches. Please check the website and train time app for updated schedules. That concludes my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions for Tom? Tom, you get off easy. So now we'll move over to Joe Lagana for the special report from the Metro North operations. Joe?
Good afternoon. The operations report begins on page 66 of the booklet. So our service delivered rate for June was 99.8%. System-wide on-time performance for June was 98%, exceeding our goal of 94%. Year-to-date on-time performance was also above goal at 98.5%. We had 4 incidents which negatively affected our on-time performance. The incident with the greatest impact was on June 24th. Multiple track circuits were down on the New Haven line, which impacted 21 trains. In terms of fleet reliability, the mean distance between failures for April 2024 was over 306,000 miles, surpassing our goal of 200,000 miles. And on the July 19th, there was a significant global disruption caused by the CrowdStrike incident. Our team responded promptly to address any challenges, with Metro North employees managing issues and working around complications as they arose. As a result, there was no impact to the operation due to this incident. I want to express my gratitude to the entire team for their efforts. That's it for this report. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Joe. Now for the Long Island Railroad Safety Report, Lori Ebbinghauser.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our safety performance report through the month of May can be found on page 16 of your book, and 2 highlights for your consideration. Through the month of September, we are focusing on train approach warning with our employees for our employee compliance and engagement program. And I also want to thank the Federal Railroad Administration, who provided us with the grant that enabled us to work with the New York State Office of Mental Health to customize a crisis intervention training for our employees. So far, 29 classes have been held for 148 stations employees, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions? Okay. Thank you, Lori. Now on to Metro North, Shelley Pretiman, the Vice President of System Safety.
Good afternoon. Metro North's safety report can be found on page 32 of the Performance Metrics book. Our customer employee injury rates continue to show improvement over the prior reporting period. The current 12-month reporting period ending May 2024 is compared to the prior 12 months ending May 2023. The reportable customer injury rate decreased from 2.15 to 1.82 per 1 million customers, and the reportable employee lost time injury rate decreased from 2.11 to 1.80 1.80, per 200,000 working hours. As President Rinaldi reported, Metro North held our 2024 Safety Excellence Awards ceremony this past Thursday, honoring colleagues who champion safety at Metro North every day. You've heard about the event and the winners, and I'd like to take just a moment to thank all of those who contributed to the success of the event. First, I want to thank all those who worked to organize and deliver the overall event, from the call for nominations through the celebration. I want to extend special thanks to Barbara Sarsich, Brandon Tate, and their colleagues in MTA Creative Services for their artwork and the materials they created to support the event. Well, I can't possibly thank everyone at Metro North who supported the event. I'd like to call out just a few names among the many: Annalicia Espinoza and Jamie Spordone of the Office of System Safety, Linda Morris, Tony Greco, Maureen Taylor, Frank Colavito, Lauren Lieb, Emily Moser, and Fire Chief Andrew Seacole, and Frank Messa of Operations Training. So I want to thank mostly the co-workers who recognized the positive efforts of their colleagues and took the time to nominate them for this honor. Peer recognition is one of the things that makes these awards so special. And last of all, but certainly not least, I want to thank all of our winners for the example they set in their commitment to the safety of our customers and our employees. Congratulations once again. That concludes my remarks. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for Shelley? Okay, thank you, Shelley. Now we'll have the MTA Police Chief, John Muller, who's going to provide us with the MTA Police Report.
Thank you,
Chief?
Mr. Chair. For the month of June 2024, for our major 7 crimes, we had 9 grand larcenies, we had 8 felony assaults, we had 3 robberies, 2 burglaries, and 1 lone grand larceny auto. For the felony assaults, again, of the 8 that we had, 3 of those were against members of the MTA PD, and 2 were against MTA employees, which leaves the other 3 remaining. And just to underscore how safe our system is, none of those were commuters. We had 2 people that were joint combatants that assaulted each other. They were both worked for the same restaurant. And then there was the domestic violence incident. So, and that is my report.
Thank you. Any questions for the chief?
I'll just, no comment.
Thank you. Now we have special presentations. Back to Tom Kost for a special presentation on the Long Island Railroad mid-year update.
All right, we'll get started. Thank you, Chair. The Long Island Railroad 2024 mid-year operations report focuses on-time performance, vehicle capacity, and MDBF, in addition to some challenges we are working through. Since opening GCM in late February 2023 and introducing the most significant service adjustments in recent Long Island Railroad history, we've made methodical changes to our schedules, equipment manipulations, and stopping patterns to increase on-time performance and reduce crowding on our trains. Our year-to-date OTP is up in all 4 reportable categories. The AM peak is up 2.8%, the PM peak is up 2.2%, the off-peak is up 0.9%, and the overall OTP is up 1.3%. These improvements are a direct result of the systematic schedule enhancements and processes put in place to better our operation. Even with the overall OTP trending in the right direction, we are still focused on addressing issues that negatively impact on-time performance. One area where delays are trending negatively in 2024 is fleet door defects. We have seen a 79% increase in door defect delays compared to 2023 with the diesel coaches and M3 fleets. The mechanical department is scheduled to receive prototype replacement door control modules for the diesel coaches in Q1 2025 and production units in Q2 2025. These necessary replacement components will play a pivotal role in reducing door-related issues once they are installed on the fleet. The diesel fleet has also been experiencing some difficulty in other areas, but our mechanical group is taking proactive measures to address those concerns. An area we're seeing a positive trend in 2024 is signal delays. As part of our 2024 goals, we established a 5% reduction in switch failures, which are part of the signal category. Thus far, we've had 184 switch incidents year-to-date compared to 288 during the same time in 2023. This represents a 36% reduction in failures, exceeding our goal. Year-to-date overall signal delays were also lowered by 40%. The number of major events which caused 10 or more late trains has decreased by 16 events in 2024 compared to 2023, resulting in an 18% reduction. To date, the three most significant incidents were two snow and ice weather events in mid-January that resulted in 67 and 53 delays on subsequent days, and a pedestrian strike east of Mineola in June that resulted in 49 delays. Our service delivery remains strong, fluctuating between 99.4 and 99.8%. In January, we had an issue with a movable drawbridge near Long Beach that was stuck open, resulting in numerous train cancellations. Then in February, we had overhead wires down near East New York Station, which also caused numerous train cancellations. In 2024, we established a goal of reducing our crowded trains, which we classify as being at 90% VC or higher. VC is vehicle to capacity. We've been utilizing data to get the proper number of cars on the correct train since GCM service launched. Our operating groups track the crowded trains daily and adjust consist sizes and schedules when possible. Some of the frequently crowded trains operate with the maximum number of cars at highly desired times on branches that cannot support additional service due to infrastructure constraints, but the team is always looking for solution. We operated 155,980 trains through June and had a total of 439 crowded trains, equating to 0.3%. I really wish you could see my slide now because I had a great pie chart, but it's kind of... So overall, ridership continues to trend upward for 2024, with just over 35.8 million riders through June, resulting in an increase in 17.3% compared to 2023. We have also seen a steady increase in ridership each month compared to 2023. Area events increased by 24% thanks to many of the local sports teams experiencing a resurgence in 2024, and that coupled with concerts at MSG, UBS, Barclays, Citi Field, and Forest Hills has led to 67 more events year to date. Many of our residents use the railroad to attend these sporting events and concerts. We even had a few sports teams travel by train for their games, as you may remember from Rob's report a few months ago. I'd like to point out we had a 34% reduction in crowded trains, while ridership increased by 17% and area events increased by 24%. Those are impressive statistics. For MDBF, we are above goal year to date, but we're slightly below goal on both our older M3 fleet and the M7 fleet. Some of the difficulties we're experiencing with the M3 fleet are linked to door trouble. These types of defects typically require the crew to walk the train to identify the affected door. The M7 fleet has had some issues with propulsion control units, which convert DC power to AC power for propulsion. The recently approved MEPI procurement to upgrade the propulsion units will provide much-needed improvement for those units once installation begins in 2026. I'd personally like to thank all the men and women who work in our operating departments. These exceptional results are a testament to their hard work and dedication. Our collective success is a result of their teamwork and collaboration. That concludes our 2024 mid-year operations report. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Tom? Well, Tom, thank you for the report. Now we'll move on to Kathy, who's going to give us a presentation about the Metro North mid-year update. Kathy?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Justin is out today, so I will deliver this report on his behalf. And I'd actually start where Tom finished by thanking the operating departments and, all the people who work in the Metro North operation who contribute every day to the safe and reliable service that we're proud to provide our customers. So I'm going to start out with just some high-level service metrics year to date, and then I'm going to transition into some just a high-level discussion of some of our accomplishments for the year. So from a service, we're very proud of our service metrics. Our on-time performance year to date, I think as Joe indicated, is 98.6%, which is above our 94% goal. Service delivered is 99.9%. And our fare not collected rate, which you're going to hear a little bit more about in the presentation that Nate and Beth are going to give in a little bit about our fare evasion efforts. Our fare not collected rate year to date is 2.1%, which is significantly below our 4% target. MDBF year-to-date through May is $325,000, which is above our target of $200,000. And from a safety perspective, our rolling 12-month average of reportable customer injuries per 1 million customers was 1.82%, which is the lowest that we've seen since January of 2021, which is largely due to increased ridership. I went through ridership a little bit in my president's report, so I'm actually going to skip on that slide. I think you have a good sense as to how we're doing, which is good. We're happy with the ridership that we're seeing, especially from on the discretionary side. I wanted to outline a couple of our accomplishments in the area of emergency management. On July 13th, working closely with our partners at the MTA PD and a host of other governmental partners, we held our annual emergency preparedness exercise. The scenario was an active shooter incident in Grand Central Terminal. The exercise tested and evaluated our coordination and communication with emergency responders. It was overnight, a Friday night into a Saturday morning. It helped us work our muscles with respect to notification to customers, terminal occupants, interacting with other emergency providers. I think it was a very successful effort, and I'm very appreciative of all the support that we got from the law enforcement and emergency community. It also provided the opportunity for us to implement and test our new Code Silver procedure. This is a new standardized response for train crews and RTCs, rail traffic controllers, during an active shooter incident. We've also updated our employee emergency instructions in our operating manual. These updates included changes to fire and evacuation procedures based upon considerations for PEV fires. Our document is currently out for print. And finally, as we discussed at the top of the meeting, and I think the chairman alluded to it as well, we recently coordinated the closure of the main concourse with the MTA PD, testing our modified terminal access procedures. I should point out, since we're at this Joint Railroad Committee, that we are always communicating and cooperating with our neighbors downstairs at GCM when we do these types of events, just to make sure that our customers of both railroads are notified of these closures and can plan their travel accordingly. 2024, we received 2 APTA awards, one in the emergency management category and one in the safety category. The Safety Gold Award was presented for our innovative C3RS. That's the confidential close call reporting system, and it's a data optimization initiative that we undertook. The Emergency Management Gold Award was granted in recognition of our exceptional emergency management capabilities through our EMTF, the Emergency Management Task Force. So just a couple things on both. The Emergency Management Task Force, we fortified our system resilience in response to climate change challenges and increased weather events. Our comprehensive initiative integrates our challenges, enabling us to be able to withstand severe weather incidents that might otherwise disrupt operations. This has helped directly to contribute to our record on-time performance through February. In C3RS, our data optimization initiative has significantly enhanced the effectiveness and efficiency of our reporting system. The data optimization efforts included advanced data analytics, streamlined reporting processes, enhanced data integrity measures, and in-depth root cause analysis. Specifically with respect to the EMTF, we have had up to this point 7 events that have triggered EMTF response. 3 of them were winter storm related. 3 of them involved power issues on our New Haven line. 1 of them was an engine fire of a Providence and Worcester freight engine. The other was a downed wire on May 20th. Within 12 hours of that incident, we were successfully able to restore service, allowing us to resume our normal schedule. And the final incident was a July 10th signal power issue at Stamford, which began around 6 a.m. and by 8:30, signal power had been restored, allowing normal service to resume. The final incident was the 4.8 magnitude earthquake, which resulted in no service disruptions. Looping back to the enhancements that we've made to our confidential close call reporting system, we continue to lead the way with our program, setting a benchmark for other rail carriers. In 2023, we hosted the first C3RS symposium at Grand Central Terminal. This event brought together 75 industry leaders from organizations like Metra, Amtrak, SEPTA, NJT, of course, Long Island Railroad, FRA, Volpe, NASA, TSI, and Union Pacific Freight Carrier. This symposium was a success, fostering valuable discussions and collaboration on the evolution of this program. The Volpe Center recognized Metro North as a model case study in their upcoming report to the FRA, highlighting our leadership in this field. We've implemented 2 key pilot programs with outstanding result. The Harlem 25th Street Universal Spotting Pilot reduced incidents from 4 per month to 0 since its implementation in March. And the Fordham 3D sign pilot brought down incidents from 3 per month to just 1. These pilots were implemented by recommendations from our peer review team meetings and PRT-led interviews with employees involved with close call events, and they've improved safety at these locations. Next, I want to highlight some continuous improvements that are being undertaken through our Continuous Improvement in EAM group. We have formed an AI partnership with Rutgers University with their Advanced Center for Advanced Infrastructure and Transportation. We're evaluating 5 new AI capabilities, intending to enhance railroad safety and service, positioning us at the forefront of advancement in the industry. We implemented a flood protection system at Brewster Yard, which reduces operating costs and also maximizes the protection of our critical infrastructure in that location. Our EAM Hexagon program rollout. We initiated the rollout of EAM Hexagon across various domains, including rolling stock, track, communications, signals, and stations. We successfully deployed, user-tested and deployed electronic record-keeping systems for the signal control desk, the CDMI, calendar day mechanical inspections, signal inspections, and monthly track inspections, training nearly 300 personnel using mobile devices to record maintenance actions, enhancing the accuracy and efficiency of our maintenance processes. We already spoke during the main meeting on the Haverstraw-Ossining Weekend Ferry. A pilot that we implemented on Memorial Day will run through November and is continuing to really outperform what we expected with respect to weekend ridership. In our stations operations department, we're again trying to use data with respect to how we can improve our performance. All GCT and outlying groups are now providing monthly performance data to showcase the work being done throughout station operations. With a station operations and analysis Power BI workspace that has been in place and available for several months, we're unveiling a Station Ops Power BI dashboard that provides user-friendly access to all our reports with easy navigation between the dashboard menu and reports. We're just about to undertake a secure bike shelter pilot at Beacon, Mount Vernon East, and Irvington. The RFP for the pilot has been released with proposal deadline of July, and the expectation is that the contract will be awarded by the 3rd quarter of 2024. With respect to our MAV operations, we designed and installed emergency ladders on our Shoreliner fleet cab cars. Installation on all 51 cab cars is expected by July of next year. We're supporting the standardized work pilot that is part of our financial baseline reset, so a tremendous effort in our MAV department. We've already spoken about our locomotive wraps. You're going to be hearing a little bit more, I think, in the rescheduled CPC meeting this afternoon with respect to the Penn Station Access Project. Our MAV department is supporting efforts to use the M8 fleet and outfit the M8 fleet as the opening day solution for the Penn Access service. The last pair in the M8 66-car option procurement was delivered in the beginning of 2024. Our M8 fleet is now 446 AB cars and 25 S cars for a total fleet size of 471 cars. And we've reported in the past upon the opening of the Building 6, the Harmon Electric Shop, which opened its doors earlier this year. Capital projects, we just completed, or I should say our partners at C&D just completed the latest phase of the viaduct replacement project. Really value the partnership that we've built up with C&D with respect to the replacement of the viaduct, which is probably one of the single most important capital projects currently underway in the Metro North system. Resiliency efforts, we've spoken a little bit about this. We've already spoken about the Garrison track raise. We talked a little bit before about the trip that we took up the Hudson and mentioned that we're going to be undertaking a track raise project as part of the Wassaic outage that just started on Saturday. And then I've already reported on this next slide, which is resiliency efforts on the Harlem line. We elevated a problematic signal location by depositing 200 tons of foul ballast and riprap from the Briarcliff Manor mudslide, as well as 100 recycled concrete ties. This is a homegrown effort that we're doing now with operating funding to be able to make resiliency investments as the larger resiliency program is rolled out as part of the capital program. On the subject of safety, we already spoke about the Safety Excellence Awards last week. We undertook a safety culture assessment in partnership with the Short Line Institute. They were on our property in the middle of July. This was one of our goals for the year, and we will be expecting that report in the coming weeks, and we'll be working with our union partners and our other employees to be able to roll out recommended improvements. Finally, with the customer experience, just some statistics with respect to some of the revenue sources. We got $6.2 million year-to-date in city ticket revenue from 1.2 million tickets sold. And then with respect to the new combo ticket product between the two railroads, $554,000 in 2024 year-to-date revenue from 27.5 thousand tickets sold. Looking ahead on some upcoming projects, I just mentioned the Wassaic branch raising of track between milepost 56.9 and 57.5. And then also we're very excited that we're going to be taking delivery of our Siemens Charger locomotive, locomotives 301 and another number, which is not here, are undergoing dynamic testing in Pueblo at the Transportation Technology Center, and we're scheduled to begin testing these two trains in our service territory at the end of this year. So this concludes my report, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Questions? Jerry?
Yeah, Kathy, earlier in the presentation, you mentioned something about close call events. What's your definition of a close call?
So I think there's actually we'll get back to you on that. I think there's actually an FRA definition of a close call, which we can get to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions for Kathy? Okay.
Mark?
Yes, Norm.
It's not a question so much as a comment, and congratulations, particularly on the resiliency stuff. And, I like it when our people trick out the work, and recycling those concrete ties is a beautiful thing. I would say a half hour spent with those track guys in that area, just saying we could do this, we could do that, will yield you more than engaging 20 consultants. They know pretty much where the next thing's going to be, the next event's going to be. And, but I think that's beautiful work, and congratulations.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think you're exactly right. I think the employees are very creative and thoughtful, and make do with what we have to be able to address the issues that we see around the territory. So, we're doing what we can on the operating side while we wait for a longer-term solution on the capital side. So I appreciate the recognition.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All right. Thank you, Kathy. Now we're going to move on. As you mentioned earlier, Beth Sullivan, Nate Gilbertson, and Chief Muller will take us through a presentation on fare evasion.
All right. Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nate Gilbertson, Vice President for Organizational Resiliency and Chief Strategy Officer at Metro North. I've been co-leading our response, the railroad response to fare evasion, the Blue Ribbon Panel on fare evasion with Beth Sullivan. She's Vice President for Operational Support and Organizational Planning at Long Island Railroad. We're going to take you through the joint initiatives and also talk about our respective agencies' progress. We're also joined by Chief Muller because the MTA police have truly been instrumental in our efforts to reduce fare evasion at the railroads. So just a reminder that fare evasion on the railroads looks different than New York City Transit. We're an open system, so this is not about jumping turnstiles or slipping through the slam gates. Our riders are already on the train once our train crews are approaching them for their tickets. And those tickets are increasingly mobile. So we've talked a lot about how our customers love train time, right? We heard it in the opening remarks. And now over 70% of our fare revenues are coming in through mobile tickets. While this is generally good news, it has opened up an unintended opportunity for fare evasion. We have a certain number of our customers who buy mobile tickets, but then they don't activate them. And these are the railroad's version of opportunistic fare evaders. For the most part, we think these folks live their lives by the rules, but for some reason, when it comes to these tickets, they think it's okay to just wait, see if the conductor will come by, and if they don't, they get a free ride. So this was exacerbated largely during COVID, and I think you've all seen it if you've been riding our trains. In addition to the Blue Ribbon panel pointing it out, if you talk to our conductors, they'll tell you this is one of their biggest challenges, right? This behavior slows them down. It makes it tougher to get through the train, and they miss other fares. We know this is a problem we must address, and we'll talk about it a little bit more at the end of the presentation. In terms of how we've addressed the Blue Ribbon panel recommendations, we've established joint working groups across the railroads. So teams of people from different departments, transportation, conductor compliance, stations, headquarters finance, strategic initiatives, MTA, IT. It's really a team effort for working across all departments on these various initiatives. Obviously, both our presidents are very engaged in this. They're providing leadership and direction. We meet with them monthly to update them on progress. And I'll just say, personally, I've been at Metro-North about 15 years, and the partnership here between the railroads is really stronger than it's ever been. We're doing this together, and we certainly understand the importance of fare revenues to the MTA's financial health. I do want to just pause here to recognize the train crews at each of our railroads who are out there every day on the front lines of this issue. You are the ones making a real difference, and we thank you. So the partnership extends to the MTA police, and under the chief's leadership, they've significantly stepped up their support, including riding many more of our trains. Officers are taking those fare disputes off board, and so we're no longer delaying 1,000 customers that are paying for the one that's refusing to pay. And MTA PD has also been instrumental in terms of keeping our crews safe, which remains our top priority. On to customer messaging, the theme of partnership here continues. We're working closely with Shanifa Riera's customer communications team. And the panel, if you read the report, said a lot about increasing customer awareness, customer education. And they put emphasis on this issue, put really the spotlight on it. We hadn't really talked publicly that much about it before the report. And so what we've done working with Shanifa and team is to really take those recommendations around how do we educate the customers and take them seriously. And so we've been, working on these updated campaigns. And you'll see in the middle there, the You Keep Us Going. There was more emphasis on the importance of paying the fare. And then, we've progressed this campaign and increasingly talking about enforcement. So the one on the right, talking about the consequences for non-payment. And here, we're sort of pointing out the most severe, that indeed you can be arrested for non-payment. Note the tagline there that every fare counts as well. Basically, we're using all available channels for communications on this. We have our digital screens throughout the system, onboard and station announcements, through the Train Time app itself as well. And if someone tells you they haven't seen or heard about our fare payment, fare evasion messaging, they have not been riding our trains. On to Metro-North, I'll tell you a little bit about our progress. We've seen significant improvements over the last 18 months. When the Blue Ribbon panel came out, they estimated evasion across the railroads was about $40 to $45 million problem. This was calculated based on an MTA audit program, right? So we have MTA audit spotters that are out there every month. They're riding our trains and testing to see whether or not conductors come up to them and ask them for a fare. The primary metric that we key off of is called fare not collected. And I just want to explain what that means, just in simplistic terms. If the spotters ride 100 times and 5 times a conductor does not come up to them, that's the 5% FNC. And so but I also want to make it clear that 5% FNC does not mean we're losing 5% of our revenues. There's a lot more that goes into it, right? We have monthly customers who pay us up front. But I guess just want to make sure that you know that the bottom line is we're trying to drive down FNC. The lower the number, the less revenue we're losing. Our FNC rate at Metro-North went from 5.7% in 2022 down to 2.8% in 2023. And you'll see what translated into a significant drop in fare losses. We've kept this up throughout 2024, and right now we're at 2.1%, under our 4% goal. So how are we doing this? Three things, really. First, increased management focus and presence. So under Justin Vonishek's leadership and Joe Lagana, who's here, our Chief Transportation Officer, they're just out there more, right? More increasingly riding trains, emphasizing the importance of collecting fares to the train crews. Second, the use of onboard video. When those MTA spotters do not see a conductor, it gets reported, and we're pulling video to look at that specific thing. Train crew members are brought in to review the video with managers and union representatives. And again, it's important to point out this is done in a non-punitive way. This is not about discipline, it's about reinstruction. Lastly, just the increased level of cooperation between management, union leadership, MTA, PD, and train crews, really communicating more, across and with each other. The final point here, we've also been piloting pre-boarding ticket checks on the platform. This is something we have been doing for a long time at Yankees games and also certain holidays, but the panel recommended we do it just during normal business. And so we've been experimenting with this in terms of frequency and location. We've held them in Grand Central at Harlem 125th Street. And basically it's, making sure that customers have their ticket purchased, have it activated, have it out, have it ready before they get on the train. We're learning a lot from these, and actually the feedback has been quite positive. And I guess one comment on that is that we think, our customers, especially those monthly customers that are paying $300 or $400 a month, they don't want to see somebody else getting a ride for free. And so they actually been encouraging, and kind of posting on social media about, the benefits of this. With that, I'll turn it over to Beth for the update on Long Island Railroad and one of our other joint initiatives on invoicing.
Right, thank you, Nate. It's been productive working through these challenges with you and our railroad teams together. Long Island Railroad's year-to-date June fare not collected rate improved from 7% in 2023 to 6% in 2024, slightly above our 5% goal. With management and union leadership collaboration and our train crews doing a phenomenal job, we've beat our goal for the last 3 months. With the return of customers post-COVID and the opening of Grand Central Madison, travel patterns have changed. Having improved train-specific customer loading data, we've adjusted over 90 ticket collector assignments to meet the shifts in ridership. Although our territory spreads all the way to the end of Long Island, many of our conductor interactions take place between Jamaica and our city terminals, where crews have a tight time frame to do their jobs, so we've strategically focused resources there. Building upon decades of successful pre-boarding validation programs throughout our system, we've tackled the challenges at Penn Station. For months now, we've been collecting tickets at the Penn platforms that have physical characteristic challenges that cause loading and onboard fare collection issues for our crews, as well as Madison Square Garden events. To date, we've gated over 44 evenings and 275,000 customers. All right. To keep our customers on time, the railroads have historically offered a pay later option for those who may have forgot their ticket or wallet at home. The Blue Ribbon Panel suggested this program be reviewed. So, on June 17th, both railroads launched a new policy where riders must provide a valid ID to be issued an onboard invoice. We've aligned our invoicing policies, including the acceptable forms of ID. Keeping the safety of our crew members our priority, we reinforced policies on how to handle riders who do not pay. Just prior to launch, we built upon the customer messaging campaign by having our train crews hand out flyers to riders not providing IDs and added an upfront message to the Train Time app. This message ran for 3 days and almost 600,000 customers acknowledged it. Since policy implementation, our onboard invoice issuance has decreased 30%. And up next, Chief Muller will share the increase in MTA PD interactions.
Thank you, Beth. So there's really 4 components to this MTA piece of the strategy that we have here in driving down fare evasion on the railroads. The first one was town hall with conductors and train crews. We felt like nobody more then the train crews know exactly what's happening, when it's happening, and how it's happening. So by going to town halls and talking to the different conductor groups, the engineers, like really getting an idea of what was happening out there and what they felt they needed more than anything. We view them as our platinum clients. So it was very important to have those conversations, and they've taken place now past 2 years ago, and we got a lot of really valuable information out of that. The second piece was discussed already, the fare evasion policy, and just conceptually, very simple. We don't want to keep 3,000 people, inconvenience 3,000 people because of one person decides not to pay the fare. So the best, easiest, most equitable way to handle that was just to take the one person off the platform. Still means that the officers can exercise discretion. They may arrest, they may issue a summons, they may give the person a ride home. But at the end of the day, the train moves on. The paying customers get where they need to go on time, and we'll deal with the issue on the platform. It's also a great de-escalation piece, and that did also come out of our conversations with the conductors, who felt very uncomfortable that they called about a fare evasion issue, and then the person who was disputing the fare remained on the train through the trip all the way to the end of the line. So that was something that also came out of this idea. Real-time train patrol coordination is very important. It's something relatively new. We have now put police supervision, MTA police supervision, into rail control centers. We learned very quickly that no matter how many lights and sirens you have, a police car cannot beat a train as far as speed. So instead of chasing trains, what we're doing now is that we have supervisors in rail control centers. We can know very specifically and very accurately where officers are, so the train will go to where the officers are positioned, and that also helps alleviate, performance and on-time performance issues. So the train patrol coordination and the supervisors in the rail centers all is kind of tributed. And if you look at the slides, particularly the bottom left and the two on the right, there is a causal relationship here, I believe, that you're seeing that fare dispute calls through the conductors and the train staff is really, really way up from 23 to 24, and there's a reason for that. And the reason for that is if you look to the right, you see a massive increase in summonses and a massive increases in arrests. So we think that we're instilling confidence and we're building trust with our train crews that when they call us, we're going to get there quickly and we're going to adjudicate the situation as quickly as possible. So I just want to thank our two railroad presidents, their teams and their staff, the conductors' unions for giving us input and all the support we get every day. This truly is, as Nate said, it's a collaborative effort where everyone has to weigh in and work hard on this, and we're going to continue to move this number down. And you can see we're still, we're at 25,000 trains patrolled and 87,000 station inspections. So we're going to continue to really be very strategic on our deployment, where we put officers, where they're needed, what are the most problematic lines, when are those lines most problematic, and we'll knock down fare evasion as far as we can get it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. To wrap up, I'll quickly touch on what else we're working on. Beth spoke about the onboard invoicing. We're working with finance and IT on some additional enhancements on how we handle that data, and we think it'll speed up our ability to go after the repeat offenders. We're reworking the actual printed document that's handed to someone who gets these, calling it a commitment to pay, and adding some stronger language around having it be a stronger warning. Also, the panel had some very specific recommendations focused on fares and ticketing. We're directly keen off of these recommendations, looking into ticket validity periods, mobile ticket activation, and ways to simplify fare collection on board. While they're not necessarily easy or quick fixes here, we think we can leverage a combination of policy and technology solutions to address those opportunistic fare evaders. Finally, we'll continue to experiment with the pre-boarding pilots and make them as effective as possible. This concludes our update. I just want to thank Kim Grant on my staff, who's making sure the whole effort stays organized. So thank you, Kim, and we're happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes. Jerry.
Just a comment. I want to congratulate you on the work that you've done. As a commuter for over 40 years, this has been something that's bothered a lot of us, to see the guys get the free rides. And I'm glad that you're finally cracking down on it. One question, though, you're talking about rebranding and like commitment to pay. You can bring back the expression that we used to use 20, 30 years ago, theft of service. Fare evasion it's too soft. It's theft of service. If, Fare evasion is the guy who doesn't activate his ticket right away, hoping the conductor doesn't come by. That's fare evasion. Someone who knowingly and willingly does not want to pay their fare, that's theft of service, and that's where Mr. Mueller should step in, you know. All right, but again, thank you for all your work. It's really appreciated by the commuters.
Blanca?
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair, and thank you to the three of you for this presentation. I think one of you had mentioned that there may be different types of ID that a passenger could show, aside obviously from my driver's license. Can they show any type of photo ID, or is there a specific list of acceptable IDs?
We have a list of IDs that are acceptable. They're primarily government or, a secondary, like New York City Transit issued it and we accept it. But they're primarily government, and a majority of them have the photos. You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you for a wonderful presentation. Keep up the good work, and we appreciate all that you're doing. Thanks. Okay, now we're going to move on to the joint information item on customer accounts. Presentation on key performance metrics. I believe the report is in the book, correct? Okay, so we don't have to do that. Agency information items, Chair, Rob, can you take us through the information items for the railroad, Long Island Railroad?
The mid-year operations report, as Tommy went through, and this time you'll get to see it because it'll be in the book, his presentation. The September timetable changes also that Tommy went through, and the track work will be in the book as well.
Thank you. Kathy, can you please bring us through the information items for the Metro-North Railroad?
Sure. We also have our mid-year update, which we just delivered in the book. In addition, we have a PowerPoint on the recent West of Hudson survey results. We have the annual report on Grand Central Terminal retail development. I know David Florio and Kim Trevison are here in case there's any questions. And then we have 2 real estate transactions that were presented in finance earlier today. The first is a lease with Bagel Train Brewster at the Brewster Station, and the second is a property acquisition associated with the replacement of our Claremont substation in the Bronx.
Thank you. And we also have the finance reports for the railroads, and they are in the book as well. And my understanding is there's no procurements for this month for either railroad. Is that correct? Yes. No. So therefore, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank Blanca, seconded by Lisa. All in favor? Thank you all.